Imagine this: you're sitting across from her, maybe at a cafe, maybe in your car late at night, and she looks at you with that half smile that doesn't give anything away. Your chest tightens because you can't tell if she's into you or if she's already pulling away. You lean in with more words, more attention, more effort, hoping to close the gap, to win her over with logic or care. And yet the more you give, the more she drifts. It feels like chasing smoke. That's the first bitter taste of how mystery and chaos work as attraction triggers. It's not about fairness. It's about the pull of unpredictability. Some women are addicted to it. Mystery makes them curious. Chaos makes them feel alive. And if you don't understand this, you'll get stuck playing the role of the predictable man, the one who texts back instantly, who explains himself, who tries to smooth out every bump in the road. That's when she loses interest, because she feels no spark, no tension, no reason to lean in. You've removed the very oxygen that fuels her attraction. Here's the truth: predictability feels safe, but it doesn't create desire. When she knows your every move, when she can read you like a manual, when she feels there's nothing left to discover, her mind wanders. She tests you, she withdraws, she starts provoking emotional turbulence, not because she wants to destroy you, but because she needs to feel something. And if you're not the one generating that pulse of mystery, she will subconsciously create it herself through drama, withdrawal, or silence. Think about that girl who suddenly takes 3 hours to text back when yesterday she responded in 30 seconds, or the one who seems warm and invested one day and strangely distant the next. You feel confused, frustrated, maybe even desperate to fix it. But here's the psychological trap: the moment you chase her harder to restore balance, you kill the attraction, because you've shown you can't handle unpredictability without losing your center. Mystery, to her, is not about lying or hiding. It's about her never quite feeling like she has full control over your mind. And chaos, when handled correctly, isn't about you being toxic. It's about your ability to remain unshaken when emotional waves crash around you. A woman can smell the difference between a man who is consumed by her storms and a man who stands calmly in the middle of them. This is where you've probably failed before. You explained too much. You asked for reassurance. You tried to restore calm when she pulled back instead of holding steady in silence. You thought more attention would equal more security. Instead, she read it as weakness. She felt your need to please, your fear of losing her. And that's when attraction slipped away. So how do you flip it? The first step is to stop rewarding chaos with validation. When she withdraws, don't flood her with texts. When she gives vague answers, don't interrogate. When she gets moody or unpredictable, don't collapse into apologies or explanations. Instead, lean back, create space. Let her tension sit. That silence you're afraid of, it's your weapon. Because silence forces her to face her own games, and it makes her realize you won't bend at the first sign of turbulence. Second, build mystery by controlling what you reveal. Don't narrate your whole life. Don't explain every thought. Don't seek her approval for every move. When you're always accessible, always available, always transparent, you starve her of the unknown, and the unknown is where attraction lives. If she never wonders what you're thinking, if she never questions where your attention is, if she never feels the pull of your inner world being just out of reach, she will not chase it. Third, embody chaos without being chaotic. That means you don't fear tension. You don't rush to fix every problem. You don't react to every mood swing. You carry yourself as if storms are natural, expected, even entertaining. Because in your mind, they don't shake your foundation. When you act like this, you turn the tables. She realizes her emotional waves can't drown you. That paradoxically makes her lean in harder, because she finally feels she has met a man whose center is stronger than her chaos. This isn't about playing games. It's about revealing a truth she can feel in her bones, that you don't need her approval, her constant attention, or her predictable affection to remain grounded. You live in your own orbit, and she's drawn into it. That's mystery. That's controlled chaos. That's why she can't resist. Now, I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Have you ever chased harder the moment she pulled away, only to feel her interest collapse even faster? Have you ever killed attraction by explaining too much, by over-communicating, by giving her every detail of your mind until she felt bored? Or maybe you've been on the receiving end of her chaos and couldn't help but panic, trying to fix it only to realize you lost her respect. Which one of these mistakes has been your downfall? Share it in the comments. I guarantee you're not the only one. And tell me this: when she created chaos, how did you respond? Did you lean back, or did you break? You've probably noticed that the more you give in to her chaos, the less she respects you. It feels backwards, doesn't it? You think being understanding, being patient, being endlessly forgiving will make her see how loyal and devoted you are. But instead, she pulls away further. She may even test you harder. Why? Because deep down, she doesn't want a man she can bend into a shape. She wants a man who bends for no one, who makes her feel both safe and challenged at the same time. And that balance only comes when you stop being predictable and start embodying controlled unpredictability. Let's be real, women crave emotion more than they crave comfort. Comfort without emotion is boredom. Safety without excitement is suffocation. You might believe you're being the ideal man when you're always available, always agreeing, always giving. But what you're really doing is robbing her of the emotional high-low cycle that creates passion. It's not logical, but attraction never is. Think about it. Why do so many women get addicted to toxic men who treat them badly? It's not because they like being disrespected. It's because those men keep them guessing. Their unpredictability creates tension, anticipation, even fear, and those emotions are intoxicating. Now, don't misunderstand me. You don't have to be toxic to create this effect. You just have to stop being so easy to read, so endlessly compliant, so desperate to smooth everything out. Let me paint you a scenario. You're dating a woman and she suddenly goes cold, short texts, delayed replies, excuses to not meet. Most men panic at this stage. They double down. They send more messages. They ask what's wrong. They plead for answers. Do you know what she feels when you do that? Nothing. No spark. No curiosity. No respect. You've shown her you can't handle even the slightest withdrawal without losing composure. The better move: do nothing. Stay silent. Keep living your life. The silence will make her feel the absence of your energy. And if she's genuinely interested, she'll return. If she doesn't, she was never invested in the first place. Either way, you win. Another trap: she picks a fight over something small. Maybe you didn't text goodnight, or you were busy when she wanted attention. Instead of calmly standing your ground, you rush into apology mode. You explain, you defend, you promise to do better. And what happens? She feels nothing but power. She knows she can control you with her moods. That's why she does it again. The solution: don't feed the fire. Let her vent, nod, stay calm, even joke lightly if it fits. But don't collapse into guilt for something meaningless. The moment you stop being reactive, the game ends. Here's a crucial psychological shift. Women don't fall for men who prove themselves with words. They fall for men whose actions show calm indifference to emotional turbulence. When you stop over-explaining and start letting silence do the work, she feels your strength. When you stop rushing to repair tension and instead let her sit in the discomfort, she feels your dominance. And when you stop rewarding chaos with endless validation, she realizes she can't play you like every other man. Mystery is also about your life outside of her. Do you have passions, goals, a mission that consumes you more than she ever could, or is she your entire world? Because if she is, you've already lost. A woman can sense when she is the sun around which you orbit. At first, it flatters her, then it suffocates her. She needs to feel like she's orbiting you, that you have a center of gravity so strong, she can't pull you away from it. That's why she's attracted to men who seem just a little bit untouchable, a little bit consumed by something bigger than her. That's mystery. The key is balance. Too much chaos and you become toxic, too much mystery and you become distant. But just enough unpredictability, just enough silence, just enough detachment and she'll be hooked. She won't admit it, she may even resist it, but she'll feel it in her bones, and she'll come back for more. Ask yourself this: how often have you given away all your cards too early? Your thoughts, your feelings, your schedule, your constant availability. Did it ever make her chase you more? Or did it make her slowly lose interest? And when was the last time you held back, stayed quiet, didn't rush to fix things and noticed her leaning in again? Which pattern describes you more? Are you the man who collapses into explanation, or the man who sits calmly in silence and lets her feel the tension? And tell me honestly, when she tested you, did you break or did you hold? There's a hidden truth about attraction most men never want to face. Women are far more drawn to the emotional experience you create than to the comfort you provide. That's why you've seen women stick with men who make them cry, men who make them jealous, men who confuse them because those men make them feel something. Meanwhile, the good guy who never triggers those emotions gets quietly abandoned, even though he offered nothing but stability. And you might be that man, the one who thought consistency and loyalty alone were enough. But here's the harsh reality: consistency without tension is invisible. You've probably lived it. You text her every morning. You compliment her every time you see her. You bend your schedule to fit hers. At first, she smiles and thanks you. A week later, she replies slower. A month later, she seems distracted. And one night, she says the words you dread: I just don't feel the same anymore. You sit there shocked, wondering how you lost her when you gave her everything. But that was the problem. You gave her no space to wonder, no silence to crave, no distance to desire. You replaced tension with comfort, and attraction died in your hands. Mystery and chaos are not about playing games, they're about leaving gaps that her imagination rushes to fill. When you don't reveal every thought, she imagines what you might be thinking. When you don't answer right away, she wonders what you're doing. When you don't rush to smooth over tension, she questions what's going on in your head. That wondering is the hook. Her mind becomes restless, and that restlessness is where attraction grows. But here's where most men fail: they confuse chaos with dysfunction. They think creating attraction means starting fights, being cruel, or intentionally ignoring her. That's not strength, that's weakness disguised as control. Real strength is calm detachment in the middle of her storms. It's letting her test you and proving she can't move you. It's being playful in the face of her moods, not defensive. It's disappearing into your mission without explaining yourself, and letting her realize she doesn't fully own your attention. Picture this: she accuses you of being distant. Most men panic, they protest, they reassure her with long messages about how much they care. But the stronger move: smile, look her in the eye, and say, I'm here. I'm just not a man who lives on a leash. Then leave it at that. No defending, no long speeches. She'll feel the boundary, and she'll respect it even if she acts annoyed in the moment. Another example: she withdraws, pulling back to see if you'll chase. Instead of chasing, you let her go. You keep living, keep moving, keep building. You don't sulk. You don't beg. You don't explain. She'll notice the silence. She'll wonder why you didn't fall apart. And if she's invested at all, she'll come back stronger because she knows she can't manipulate your emotions with distance. The paradox is this: when you don't need her to stay, she wants to stay. When you don't need her attention, she craves your attention. When you don't break under her chaos, she becomes addicted to your calm. It feels unfair, but it's reality. That's why women lose interest in men who crumble too easily. Attraction isn't built in the soft comfort of reassurance. It's built in the tension of uncertainty. So how do you apply this without becoming toxic? You live in silence more often. You resist the urge to over-communicate. You keep parts of yourself private, not because you're hiding, but because you understand that mystery is oxygen. You stop explaining your every move and let her wonder where you're going, what you're thinking, what you're planning. You stop apologizing for being unavailable when you're building your life. You let her feel your absence instead of smothering her with presence. And most importantly, you stop rewarding chaos with attention. If she sulks, you don't bend. If she provokes, you don't react. If she withdraws, you don't chase. You keep standing, you keep moving. You let her realize, again and again, that her storms don't touch your foundation. That is the most magnetic thing a man can ever project. Now let me ask you, how many times have you explained yourself into boredom, trying to prove you cared only to feel her slip away? How many times did you rush in to calm her moods instead of letting her sit in her own chaos? And what would change if you stopped doing that today, if you let silence do the work? If you trusted that tension doesn't need to be fixed? Which mistake has cost you more attraction, giving too much comfort or reacting too hard to her chaos? And if you're honest, which one do you keep repeating? You've been told your whole life to treat her right, to make her feel secure, to always communicate. And while there's truth in those phrases, nobody warned you about the shadow side, what happens when you overdo it. Because when you treat her too well without any friction, when you over-communicate until she knows your every move, when you try so hard to make her secure that she never wonders about you at all, you stop being a mystery. You become background noise, and no woman, no matter how kind she is, feels deep attraction to background noise. The reality is, she doesn't want you to be a perfect gentleman all the time. She wants to feel a pulse in the air when she's around you. She wants to feel her emotions rise and fall like waves. That's why she'll test you. That's why she'll throw chaos into the mix. Because she needs to know whether you can handle her storms without breaking. Every time you crumble, you teach her that you're not that man. Every time you stand still, you remind her that you are. Let's break down one of the most common traps, her silence. She stops replying for hours, maybe even a day, after being warm and affectionate. You feel it instantly, the pit in your stomach. The rush of thoughts. Did I do something wrong? Is she losing interest? Should I text her again? And most men cave. They double text. They apologize for no reason. They send long paragraphs trying to win her back. But here's the brutal truth. Her silence wasn't the problem. Your panic was. Because when you panic, you hand her control. She sees that her withdrawal bends you, and once she sees that, she'll do it again. The stronger moves sit in the silence. Don't chase, don't explain. Don't fill the gap. Let her be the one who feels the discomfort of distance. If she's truly interested, she will return. If she doesn't, she was never yours to begin with. Either way, you've kept your power intact. That's the frame you must live by. Never chase chaos with comfort. Now picture this: she accuses you of not caring enough because you didn't reply instantly. Most men rush in with apologies, trying to convince her, but the man she respects smiles calmly and says, "I care. I just don't live glued to my phone." Then he moves on, unbothered? Do you see the difference? One man explains and begs. The other man states his truth and leaves it at that. One collapses, the other stands. And women always lean toward the man who stands. Mystery also comes from how you live outside of her. Do you disappear into your mission, your work, your craft in ways she can't fully access? Or do you sit by your phone waiting for her every message? When you have a life that consumes you, she can feel it. She knows she doesn't fully own you. That gap, that distance, is where her attraction grows, because she wants to earn her place in your orbit, not feel like she's already conquered it without effort. Controlled chaos is about your energy in tense moments. Say she tries to pick a fight, raising her voice, pushing your buttons. Do you match her energy and escalate? Do you fold and apologize just to make it stop? Or do you stay calm, maybe even laugh, as if her storm can't touch you? That third option is power, because you're not denying her emotion, you're refusing to be consumed by it. That's when she realizes she's dealing with a man who isn't reactive, who isn't desperate, who isn't afraid of conflict. That's when attraction spikes. And here's the part most men never grasp. Women don't consciously choose this. It's not a strategy, it's instinct. Her attraction system is wired to respond to tension, mystery, and strength under pressure. She doesn't wake up thinking, I'll respect the man who ignores my tantrum. But when you do it, she feels it in her body. Respect rises, desire sharpens, and she'll want more. So here's your practical shift. Stop filling every silence. Stop apologizing for every mood. Stop over-explaining yourself into invisibility. Let her feel the gaps. Let her imagination work. Let her test and fail to move you. Because every time you stay centered, she feels something no comfort can ever give her attraction, born out of tension. Now, I want you to look back. How many times have you chased her silence with more words? How many times have you killed attraction by explaining yourself into exhaustion? And what would it feel like to finally sit in silence? To finally stop defending? To finally let her chaos crash without touching you? Be honest, which do you fear more, her walking away if you don't chase? Or the possibility that she'll chase harder if you stop? You've probably realized by now that attraction doesn't live in logic, it thrives in emotion. That's why you can list all the reasons you're a good man, why you'd make a great partner, why she should never let you go and none of it matters. Because attraction isn't a debate she needs to be convinced of. It's a fire she either feels or she doesn't. And mystery and chaos handled correctly are the sparks that light that fire. Think back to the times you tried to talk her into liking you more. Maybe you explained how much effort you put in. Maybe you reminded her of all the things you did for her. Maybe you laid out the logical case for why she should stay. And what happened? She looked at you with distant eyes. She nodded politely. But inside, she had already checked out. Because logic doesn't stir her emotions. Predictability doesn't stir her emotions. Only tension does. Here's the part that hurts. She will create chaos if you don't. If you're too stable, too easy, too available, she'll subconsciously push buttons just to see what happens. She'll withdraw affection. She'll get moody for no reason. She'll accuse you of things you didn't do. And you'll be left wondering why she's sabotaging a good thing. But it's not sabotage. It's a test. She's testing whether you are the kind of man who collapses under pressure or the kind who thrives in it. This is where most men lose themselves. They beg, they defend, they argue, they try to fix what doesn't need fixing. And in that moment, they lose her respect because they've shown her that her emotions dictate their behavior. That is the ultimate attraction killer. So what do you do instead? You embrace the storm, you welcome the tension. You don't try to fix every silence, every mood, every withdrawal. You let her sit in it. You let her wonder. You let her realize that her games don't pull you off center. And when you do this, something shifts in her. She sees that you are a man who doesn't flinch when emotions run wild. She feels a rare magnetism, a pull she can't explain but can't resist. Controlled chaos isn't about starting fights or being cruel. It's about refusing to be predictable. It's about keeping her guessing in ways that feel alive. It's about not texting back instantly, not explaining every thought, not folding at every pout. It's about living your life with such focus and self-possession that she feels she has to fight for your attention. That's when she values it most. Mystery is about scarcity. If she knows everything, she craves nothing. If she has all of you without effort, she stops appreciating you. But if she feels that parts of you are reserved, that your world doesn't revolve around her, that she has to earn access to your time, your mind, your energy, then she never stops chasing. The mystery isn't about deception, it's about discipline. It's about you refusing to hand yourself over too easily. Let me give you a picture. Two men date the same woman. The first man answers every text immediately, explains his day in detail, and apologizes when he can't see her. She thanks him, but over time, she drifts because she feels no tension. The second man takes his time to reply, never cold but never predictable. He's affectionate but never overgiving. When she withdraws, he doesn't chase. When she tests, he doesn't fold. She can't fully pin him down. And that uncertainty, the very thing that frustrates her, keeps her hooked. Which man do you think she loses sleep over? This isn't about being distant or unavailable for the sake of it. It's about balance. Give enough so she knows you're there. Withhold enough so she feels she hasn't fully won you. That's the edge that keeps desire alive. You've got to understand this: women don't respect men they can fully control. They respect men who control themselves. And the man who controls himself creates mystery without effort, creates tension without trying, creates attraction without begging. That's who you must become. So ask yourself, how often have you been the first man, the one who gave it all away too easily? How many times did you kill the fire by being too predictable, too available, too transparent? And what would happen if, starting now, you gave less explanation, held more silence, and forced her to lean into the unknown? Which scares you more, being misunderstood for a moment, or being predictable forever? She will always choose the man she can't fully figure out. Will you finally let yourself be that man? She didn't break you. She revealed what you were too afraid to protect.